So, for something I've been struggling with my entire life has been being too big for the room. And if you don't know what I'm saying, I mean my personality being big, me always outshining, me always being the light of the room, right? So, throughout my life, whether that was corporate, whether that was being around friends or family or whatever it was, I was always told you need to diet down. You're doing too much. You're extra. It's a lot. Relax. You have too much energy. I would hear that in work. I would hear that wherever I went, right? So throughout my life, I will always fluctuate with my energy. Depending around the people I was with, you would get a certain energy from me. But I want to talk about this when it comes to being in the workforce, to being in corporate, or being in entertainment, or being wherever it is that allows you to have a job. Throughout my life, throughout all my jobs, every single boss I've had has told me to diet back, to not be so talkative, to not be so friendly, to, whatever. And before I get into it, I want to make this clear. I have the work ethic of any boss you would ever know. Okay. My work ethic is insane. I'm an amazing worker. I get my job done, but I'm friendly. And I don't know if you have a job or not, but do you ever walk into your job's atmosphere and it be so dry? It be so sad, so depressing, so lonely. Everyone's quiet. Everyone's trying to wake up. Everyone's grumpy, angry, upset. And that's how it was for all my jobs throughout life. Everybody was just so angry. No one wanted to be there. No one wanted to have fun. No one wanted to talk. It was come in, get your work done, and leave. And I completely stand by that. Go to work, get your job done, and leave. Whatever drama you have outside of work, don't bring it in. And whatever drama you have inside of work, don't bring it out. But this really bothered me because I'm a very high energy person. I'm a very loving, bubbly. How was your day? Tell me about, what's going on with you. What do you want to talk about? Da, 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 da. I'm that type of person. In every career I went to, somebody in some shape or form either didn't like me or they told me not to be me. And so I always had to code switch or just not talk in general. And as a black woman, that really upsetted me because I didn't know if I was being discriminated against, and I didn't know how to handle my white counterpart bosses telling me, a black woman, to be quiet, to stand back, and to look pretty. You know what I mean? Or telling me that my words or my opinions had no value because I was an employee, even though when I would bring something to the table and everybody else would eat off of what I brought to the table, it will always be, I'm either going to steal what you brought to the table or I'm not going to acknowledge what you brought to the table and then later on behind your back take what you brought to the table. Okay? And so the way I was treated throughout these years of being in the workforce, I thought that I would never get to a point in my life where I can ever get a job, go into an event, go into a vicinity, a place where I can just be me, not be judged, and be loved, right? Let me tell you something. If you are somebody that is high energy, if you are somebody that is quirky, weird, or whatever, and you still have good work ethic, I'm telling you this right now, and I want you to listen to me very clearly. I don't care what industry you're in, whether if you're corporate or entertainment or wherever you stand when it comes to being in the work field. Do not ever Do you hear me? Do not ever in your entire life of existence, in the entirety of you breathing on this motherfucking planet, do not ever dim your light because a boss, another employee, a coworker, an associate asks you to. And this is exactly why I'll tell you this. I had a job where it was a sales job, and I was hired because I have great personality, right? And this is another thing why I say you have to have good work ethic. Because one thing I do is I work my ass off in everything I do. No matter if it means something to me or not, I'm going to give you 100% every single day. And so one day I was sitting in the break room, chit-chatting with my boss at the time. We was just kicking, having a good time, right? And he expressed to me that before he hired me, sales was down. After he hired me, our clientele went up, and he noticed that when the days I did not work, sales were down, and the days I did work, sales were 2 times higher. Of course, at that time, you don't ever let anybody know the leverage you have over them. So I was just like, oh, that's cool, whatever, making it seem like to him, I didn't catch the information he just told me. And this is one thing about working in corporate is that every single body in that bitch is fake. Okay? One person might smile in your face one day, and the next day they'll talk about you behind your back. That's one thing I've learned throughout the years of going through many different companies is that you can't trust nobody in that workspace to hold you down and to do right by you. So I held that information he told me for a couple months. And then, like I said, he started to get a little shady after a couple months. Started to make it seem as if I needed the job and he didn't need me. Started to put out you're very much replaceable. And child, don't walk around with your head too high and, lower that ego type shit. And I told him, because I remember what he told me at that lunch break. And I told him, I said, the moment you fire me, you will be spending weeks to months looking for somebody either half as good as me or better than me. And within that entire time of you searching for that person to fill my position, you have lost your clientele and your sales trying to find somebody to replace me. Baby, I promise you, after I told him that, after that day, he never tried me ever again. And he never questioned me. And we never had another altercation after that. I tell you this story because I want to let every single body on this planet to know, whether if you're going into the work field or if you've been in it for a long time, we all know those situations where management threatens the employees that they're replaceable, or management makes you feel like you ain't shit, or for us ourselves as the employees being afraid to overstep, to outshine, to be the biggest in the room. Baby, let me tell you something. As long as you get your work done, as long as you're efficient, as long as you're good, do not ever dim your light for anybody. And I mean this, because for a long time, I would go into interviews and I would be so scared of how much energy to give. I'll be so scared of what to say and how to say it and how I'll be perceived and how to dress and what to wear, because I was so afraid that I'd be discriminated against. And then I found the job that I work at today. And when I went into that interview, I gave it my all. I went in for the first time in my entire life, 100% Christy, authentically Christy. I didn't die myself down. I didn't dim myself. I didn't even belittle like I usually do when it comes to other interviews. I came as myself. I got hired. And my job still allows me to be myself because the customers love it. And every day I have customers telling me how much I make them feel seen and telling me how much I bring light into their shopping experience, et cetera, et cetera. And from seeing the experience I get from the job I have today and I compare it to all the jobs I had before, I realize that the only reason people want you to dim yourself down is because everybody else is boring. Everybody else doesn't have flavor, doesn't have personality, and is toxic. The one thing I've learned about my other careers is that management never wanted you to be too good, because now you're competition. If they see that you're too good and too likable and too smart, they start to twiddle their toes and think, oh, they're coming from my position. Or they're gonna rake up faster than they should. And so they do everything they can do to manipulate you into thinking that you are only as good as the number you're given to clock in. Management will make you think and believe that you are only a number to this corporation and nothing else, and you're not even a name, you're not even a person, that you don't even hold importance. When it comes to meetings, they don't listen to you, they don't care, they ignore and degrade. And for so many years, I will walk around with my tail in between my legs, have no confidence. When there was times where I would need to speak up, when there was times where I should have did something, I didn't, because I felt like, and I was never in a situation where I was safe enough to be myself. And so now that I'm in a job today where I truly can be Christy, and I can laugh and smile and not have somebody say, can you die that down? And not have somebody talk about me behind my back because I'm a little too loud. It feels good and it feels amazing. And that's what makes me come on this microphone and speak to you guys about it, because I'm sure there's a lot of y'all that have never been in a situation, been in a career, been in a corporation where you could be yourself, where you can go in and have your opinions be respected, where you can go in and feel like you can speak up and say anything and not have people degrade you. And if you're in that situation, I'm telling you, you can find a job where you can be you. You can find a job where they see your value, where they see who you are. There's too many employers that just want to subject us down to working machines, to numbers, to people that are there just to do labor. But we're human. We have feelings. We have emotions. We have passion. We have heart. And it's so degrading to be stomped on and to be pushed over when you have a problem, or when you have an issue, or when you have something to say. It's important that you know that you are still seen, whether or not if you have a badge or an apron on. It's important that you know that whether or not you're clocked in or clocked out, you are human. It is so easy for people in society to go into these corporations, restaurants, or whatever, and to look as the employees as the help, and not see that behind our name tags and behind our uniforms, we are human beings with hearts, with emotions, with love. It's so easy for these customers and clientele to just surpass us as small. But baby, I promise you, no matter who you are, no matter what corporation you work for, no matter where you stand in this work industry, you are a light that is needed. You are important. Because no matter what management or no matter what anybody says, if they didn't need you, you wouldn't be there. And that's something you all have to remember. If they truly deep down in their soul did not need you to be there, you would not have been hired. So don't ever walk around and feel like as if you're less than when it comes to being in the work field. Don't ever let a boss or a manager or somebody with importance or stature over you overspeak you or dismiss you when you have something to say. Your word is just as important as theirs. And remember, the moment you clock out, y'all are both equal. I don't care. I know for me growing up, I was so afraid to question my boss. I was so afraid to correct them. I was so afraid to put information in or to say something or go to HR. I was so afraid of how I would have been seen. And that's how a lot of companies want you to be. They want you just to be the mouse that works. No. Speak up. Speak up. And if you have to be the loudest in the room, baby, be the loudest in the room. And if you have to be the brightest light bulb, be the brightest light bulb. Because what are they going to do? What are they going to say? If you got to walk in a room and be a king amongst pawns, then do that. But I am tired of the old me and us all around the world that don't get their due diligence when they go into work every day and slave for a company that might not even pay them enough to pay rent, and slave for a company that might not even pay them enough to pay their light bill or their gas bill. The least they can do is listen to you when you have something to say. The least they can do is hear you out when you have a problem. If you're not going to pay me enough to make living wage, oh, trust and believe, when I walk in this door and clock in, you are going to hear me. You're going to feel me. And you're going to respect me. Okay? And I want everybody to demand that respect when you walk in that door. Because you are not a badge or a number. You are your name.